Holy moly. Ryan Gosling going to be in Star Wars, Shawn Levy's movie. Is that a good move for Gosling? Is that a good move for Star Wars? Does anybody care? We'll talk about that. I know something people are going to care about. Netflix jacking up their prices. Well, I say that. I think people are going to care. But we're not going to care. Still going to pay for Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, Greta Gerwig, there's been a back and forth about getting that Narnia movie out in theaters. They're going to do an IMAX part of it. What does the Netflix brass think about that move? There's some comments made there. We also have some more stuff to discuss when it comes to, I just found this out just now. I didn't even send this to my wonderful guest today just because it just broke. House of the Dragon might actually be filming already right now. That's one of the many stories we'll be discussing today. And excited to talk to Clarke Wolfe. That's right. Clarke is on the channel here today. It's just myself and Clarke. It is the Kristian Harloff Show. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it, guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. It's the Kristian Harloff Show. And it was a couple months ago. I was blessed by the presence of my good friend Clarke Wolfe in studio. Since then, she's been on the show again with Sam Levine. She's working on a lot of different things, and I got a great message from her not too long ago. She said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Bringing my YouTube channel back. And we are here to talk about that and a great many things. The great Clarke Wolfe. Hi, Clarke.
Hi, Kristian. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'll tell your audience a little inside tidbit that I actually use the words, I'm going to take your advice.
Oh,
And
well, that's very nice.
that probably made you feel real good, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you and I have always had that kind of relationship. I have taken your advice many times. You've taken my advice. We've had that kind of relationship over the years. So it was like,
yep.
Yeah, and it's nice to have you back here to talk about this type of stuff. But I was more so happy that you were just doing it again because we had that discussion of like, I mean, right before we went on the air. It's like YouTube's different now than when we were doing it back in the day. And I told you that because Greg Alba really, when I was at Skybound and I was going back into getting into this on my own channel, I went into the mindset of like, oh, it'll just work like it did with Schmoes, and I can figure that out. And it wasn't working like that because I remember putting out a review for that movie Free Guy. And I'm like, oh, people just like to see me do reviews. This movie's been out for 2 months, but they'll watch it. Like Mark and I did. Nobody watched it. Nobody cared. Algorithm didn't find it. Nobody cared. So I talked to Greg Alba for a bit, and he really gave me a good breakdown on how it works today. And I've implemented that on this channel, on a few other channels that I'm working on. And it's been fun. So I'm glad you're getting back in the game.
Thank you. It's been fun too. I'm really lucky that I have a really wonderful community. I feel like the folks that come and participate in my channel are really awesome. And we, because yes, like I got my start obviously on YouTube and that's where we met and all of that. But for the last couple of years, I was doing a lot on Twitch. And so that live stream element of having chat, like be your co-host essentially is something that I've kind of carried over to my channel. So again, it's a little different than I think your standard YouTube thing, but I think there's a way to make them all kind of come together. And so we have a wonderful community, and it's lovely. And so I stream twice a week now, on Mondays and Thursdays. So feel free to.
What time normally?
We do 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Wonderful.
So we're in the afternoon, later in the day. But yeah, people can check it out, youtube.com/official Clarke Wolfe. And it's fun. Easy.
And so you'll be doing the live stream. Are you planning on doing anything else on the channel yet? Or are you just still kind of figuring it out?
Yeah. So basically right now the plan is, we just to get things kind of up and running because I'm my own team right now. I would love to have a producer one day, but for now it's just me. So we've been doing a lot of news and live streams, but on Mondays, starting in February, it's our interview show. So I'll have a guest with me, and I've got some really fun industry folks. That's the other thing is like, I'm more, I know some people might assume that I would be like a horror only stream. And yes, we do talk a lot about genre, but I'm sort of trying to broaden my horizons because I'm interested in general pop culture. So, I think my industry experience, like we've talked about over the last couple of times I've been on your show, is something that I'm trying to bring in to my stream. So writers, directors,
Love that.
like people like that, hopefully will be the guests, and it's fun.
That's great. I put the link in the description, so I would hope that everybody, if you're watching this right now live, you go and you just click in the description, subscribe to Clarke's channel today. And if you're watching on the replay, you can do the same thing because the link is in the description. So please go and check that out. And I'm so glad that she's back in the space. So it was funny because my Luke, who helps produce the show, he is a big fan of yours, right? And and he was saying, he's like, I'm so glad she's doing her channel. He's like, I subscribed today. So he subscribed today.
Thanks, Luke.
So there you go. People are subscribing right now, I see.
That's great.
We do have some stories to discuss. We got some things. The big story yesterday, Clarke, was this news of Ryan Gosling in talks for a Star Wars film. And so Dark Horizons reporting on this. It says 3-time Oscar nominee Ryan Gosling looks to be joining the Star Wars universe for the first time. The Barbie and Blade Runner 2049 actors reportedly in negotiations for the lead role in is it reportedly in negotiations for the lead role? Oh, okay, never mind. It's like Deadpool Wolverine came out already. And Free Guy filmmaker Shawn Levy Star Wars feature project. Levy has been developing the film project since 2022 with the help of writer Jonathan Tropper. The pair have reportedly been working on the script for over a year. Levy is also producing the feature via his 21 Laps banner, which also produces Netflix's smash hit series Stranger Things. 21 Laps will work in collaboration with Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm. No details regarding the Star Wars time period in which Levy and Gosling project is set. Works in the franchise often jump between various time periods between the trio of trilogies, many of them in recent times, set several years after the Return of the Jedi events. The one thing that is confirmed story-wise is that it is meant to be a standalone film, one not connected to the Skywalker saga. That doesn't preclude cameo appearances from well-known characters, but they won't be the focus. Gosling, being in Star Wars, is said to be a pretty recent turn of events. Levy was lining up a boy band movie at Paramount reuniting Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, but Gosling's interest in this suddenly has shifted this forward. No shit. As a result, this will likely be Levy's next film and the next Star Wars movie to be produced. Shooting could be as early as this fall. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. Okay,
wow.
Yeah. So this is big news in general, right? And I also think that because I remember Levy was talking to Josh Horowitz about the Star Wars project, and Josh kind of said, "Would Ryan be in it?" I still think Ryan Reynolds will pop up in the movie. I'm glad he's not the star of it because we get another team up between the two of them. I know he can do serious acting. I've seen Safe House and other things too that he's done. I know he can, but there's just something he's associated with that comedic tone. Ryan Gosling is same thing, Fall Guy, other movies, but he can definitely, whether you look at Drive or he's a great actor. I think this is a smart move. I will tell you though, I think they should play off of what they're going to do with James Mangold because I don't know how familiar you are with what Mangold's doing.
Give me a review.
He's going 25,000 years in the past. So you're not attached to any Skywalkers. You're attached to nothing. You can make up your own lore for that period of time. I think they should go there, and I think they should stay there. And I think any spin-off movies should be in the general vicinity, whether it's 20,000 years instead of 25,000, and put Gosling, because Gosling's going to wind up playing like a Han Solo type character, you would assume. But yes. I don't know. You hear this news, Clarke. What do you think? Is it a good move for Star Wars? Is it a good move for Gosling?
Yeah, I was thinking about Ryan Gosling actually this weekend when I saw Wolfman. Of course, he was originally supposed to be the lead in that, and then different director, and Lee was on the project, and then he wasn't, and now he's back. And I was thinking about how Ryan Gosling really doesn't have a franchise. I was thinking about, and there have obviously been attempts at a franchise, right? So you have stuff like you have Blade Runner, of course, joining the franchise, but that didn't necessarily yield a second Blade Runner movie. And you have Fall Guy. I think Fall Guy was supposed to be obviously they thought it was going to be a bigger movie. And so it does make sense to me that Ryan Gosling is going, okay, it's time for a franchise, and Star Wars seems to make sense.
Yeah, it's like it's Star Wars, right? And that we're at a place now, and we've talked about. You and I probably talked about this, whether it was on Movie Talk or Schmoes back in the day, because it was starting even back then, we're long past the days of the movie star selling tickets, right?
Hmm.
The movie star can gain interest in a film, but it doesn't sell tickets in the way that, oh, it's a new Tom Cruise movie, it's a new Will Smith movie. That
Right.
doesn't really happen anymore. But IPs usually sell the movie, and directors, a few different directors like Nolan and other
Sure.
people could sell movies. But this is something, however, that it's Star Wars. Well, who's in it? Ryan Gosling. Oh, really?
Hmm.
You're getting that type of, then that's why that makes sense that, okay, Gosling is interested and he's interested. Okay, well, why don't we make that the next movie? Now,
Right.
I don't necessarily know if that's the best plan because do they even know what the movie is? It's like, it's another one of these Lucas, because I've said, I think that the entire film and TV division of Lucasfilm right now needs to be gutted. I think they need a whole new regime in there.
Yeah.
But maybe this is part of it. So they're starting to do some new things and putting together a team. But do you have any stake in the game as far as like where they should put this, or you just want to see a good movie?
Yeah, I think they should really I think they have an opportunity, especially with the feature side, because to wipe the slate clean a little bit. It's
Yeah,
been a while since a feature Star Wars movie was in
true.
theaters.
Yep.
And so whatever they launch next, I think should be they should consider a template for what is to come, to sort of reset the audience expectations. And I think that it would be fun to have Star Wars back on the big screen in a way, though, that feels like people are excited, meaning the creators have a story they're excited to tell,
Yes.
not a mandate from the higher ups, and someone has to then retrofit or work backwards.
Right.
And I do agree as well. Like, we did on my first stream back, we did sort of an audience Q&A, and one of the questions was, "What can Star Wars do?" And the two things, to get audiences excited
Yeah.
again, and the two things I said were, take a little break, like
Yeah.
let us miss you. And the other thing was, we gotta get some new blood in there. We gotta get they need a new creative vision, that feels a little less cynical, a little less old fashioned,
Yes,
I
it's
think.
so old fashioned right now in that you look at like what DC is doing, right? And you look at the
Yeah.
plan that they put together, and it's clearly someone who is a filmmaker, knows how to do it, but is also a comic book fan through and through.
Right.
And I think Star Wars needs that. And this is not like, we can beat it to death of saying like, oh, but I tell you, but Kathleen Kennedy's a good producer. We know that, we've said it. It's not working. It's like any like sports team or anything else too. The coach isn't working right now. It's just
Yeah.
not working. And so, but it also means that the assistant coaches and everybody else, see you later, new regime, bring them in. But the thing that will change that though, Clark, is that if this is the regime that put this movie together.
Hmm.
So if Mandalorian and Grogu hits, it's basically the same story of, you're familiar with what happened with Moana 2?
Yes, I am.
So Moana 2, as everybody knows, then was a TV show. Bob Iger comes in and he says, "No, dummies, we're not putting this on streaming. We'll make no money. Put it in the theater. It makes $1 billion."
Right.
He did the same thing with Mandalorian and Grogu. There was supposed to be season 4 of the show, and he said, "No, turn it into a movie." And that's what we're getting. We're getting a movie that comes out. I think it'll do very well. Whether or not people love it and get on board, and as your audience was asking you, does it get the audience back? I don't know, but they didn't know where they were going with their next movie. People thought it was going to be the Rey movie, but that never really found its footing. So this makes sense. A Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie, like you probably won't see this until 2027.
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised actually to hear that they think they could start shooting as soon as the fall, especially because these movies really do tend to take time to come together. Although the
Right.
article does say that, Sean has been working on the script for a while. So I think that makes sense. If I may just
Yeah.
also interject, something I learned from this article was about this boy band movie,
Oh yeah.
which I was like,
You want to see that?
I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, we'll talk about Ryan Gosling and Star Wars, but tell me more about the boy band movie, because
With-
that sounds wonderful.
With Hugh Jackman and Reynolds, which is like, what are they? What are they, like the
It's that
managers?
they're old. No, it's that they're old and they're gonna tour. It's probably like the Backstreet Boys, or how like people from my generation are like, maybe NSYNC will tour again. Come on, Justin. They're gonna have to I mean, that's what it has to be, is that they're
Yeah.
aged out boy band stars, which I'm like, oh gosh, how wonderful that would be.
I mean, it's funny. My first thought was that they were like dueling managers, but knowing that they both love to sing and dance and do all this stuff, and
Right.
Hugh Jackman was like sang and danced in Broadway and the Oscars, that makes a lot of sense. and it does sound like something I'd want to see. You know, what movie I think is underrated was, what was that movie? Was it called Pop Star? The one
Yes.
with Andy Samberg?
Yes. You know, it's funny you say that. I remember at that junket, I remember being like, holy cow, this movie is so good.
It was funny.
But it was right at that point where we weren't quite the straight to streaming thing hadn't quite been, and so Universal does a wide release and it tanks. And I remember saying, if that had been a Netflix original movie at that time, it would have been the biggest movie of the summer.
I agree with you. That would have been I remember watching that movie, I think expecting the worst and laughing. I can't remember if Makuga was with me seeing it. Somebody was who absolutely loved it with me. But I thought it was great. I remember that one. But anyway, to see that Hugh Jackman, Reynolds do that would be interesting. But it also makes sense though. And Reynolds was probably like, Gosling wants to do Star Wars, put this on hold. Go do it. Go do your Star Wars movie now. It makes sense. Why wouldn't he? Plus, I think that Ryan Reynolds has a lot of stuff. I guess
he's
legally.
busy.
He's busy legally stuff. I mean, real quick, what do you make of all of that?
Listen, man, we've talked about it on my stream a little bit too, and what I make of it is with the nice pool. Let's do the nice pool thing specifically.
Right.
I respectfully had no idea who Justin Baldoni was.
Yeah.
So the notion that his lawyer is saying, well, this is clearly my client. He also pretends to be a feminist and is outspoken about that. This is clearly my client. Don't you see the man bun? My client is known for wearing a man. I was like, first of all, I think you're telling on yourself a little bit. And second of all, nobody would have put two and two together. It felt like the baby reindeer lady who the Martha who sued Netflix for $200 million and was like, this is clearly me. And I was like,
it's hard to prove. It's hard.
Also, I was like, why are you telling on your, and it's for defamation. That's the thing that's so funny is you're picking on me. This asshole is clearly me. And I'm like, I wouldn't have known that.
Wouldn't have put it together. That's true. And well, it's, if you can use it that way and you think you have enough of a case that you can get some money out of it, then it's like, look, we're going to expose this to do it. If we really do think that it is you, because I mean, when you line up all of the things that he did, and when they shot it,
right,
it makes sense. But the thing is, it's very hard to prove.
Exactly.
That's very hard to prove. But there's just other things. There's other footage. There's other things, and again, other things that are hard to prove. Right? There is footage that they released that of them dancing. Did you see this?
I did. Yeah. It was that he was trying to kiss her, and she.
No.
What was the thing? What happened?
The way that I saw this scene they were in the scene, and they were, they play a couple, so they were like,
sure,
basically, and they were flirty and doing the things, and he said something to her about, I don't know, they seemed very friendly in the scene, and then once he calls cut, to what I saw in this clip, he loses the character, he lets go of her, and then that's it. But there's two sides to that story too, because people I saw from what I saw in the comments were like, it looks like very professional. It looks like he drops characters. Like here,
sure,
we don't know the rest of it, right? Like we don't know. Let's say, I mean, there's two sides of it. One, this is the way it was the entire set, and she is lying about it. That's one.
Sure.
Two, he started acting like an asshole after that day.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that does stand out to me about this is that it is not just Blake Lively who has said that they felt they were a female. It's not just Blake Lively is not the only female actor who had said, I am uncomfortable with this man. Mm-hmm. This man makes me feel very bad. There were other female actors on set who had similar complaints.
That is on the same set?
Correct. That is sort of getting lost in the shuffle.
Right.
And so to me, I think that, but the other take that I was reading, I follow a couple of lawyers who are talking about this. And one thing I've been seeing, I saw this morning, is it's very clear that he wants to have this case tried in the public opinion and not in court. And so I was like, well,
he's trying to settle. I
mean, who knows? But this thing is wild. It's
wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I don't know. We'll get more facts out of it and other things too. Because even with you're talking that's why the reason I asked, was it on that set? Because, and I don't know, the answer to this could be no, not at all. Are they friends with Blake Lively? Are they not friends with Blake Lively? Are they some completely different? whatever it might be. It could be the very separate cases. They'd never had a conversation with Blake Lively, and this guy was just a complete a-hole. Or it was one of those things where he was just as friendly with her, and she's like, "Didn't it make you feel creepy?" It did make me feel weird. And then they spoke. Who knows? I don't know.
I think, like, for instance, Jenny Slate has been like, I support what Blake has said.
Sure.
And so she was in the movie.
Okay, which makes Jenny Slate's great. Did you? I was thinking. I thought at first that she was in it, but she's not. It was just an actress that looks like her. But do you watch Severance?
So I watched season 1. I haven't watched the season 2 premiere.
It's only
yet.
one episode so far. Yeah. I just watched it last night. It's really good. It's really good. I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Okay.
So you should, but go and check it out because it's like. But I'll tell you, it was so long in between seasons.
Truly.
I was like, what happened in season 1?
Yes.
They give a good recap though.
I was listening to that podcast, You Must Remember This, which is oh my God, why am I blanking on her name? It's a Hollywood history podcast, and they had an ad with Ben Stiller and Adam Scott. Karina Longworth is the host. But anyway, they had an ad with Ben Stiller and Adam Scott saying like, we're doing a rewatch podcast, and then we're gonna keep it. So they are like very aware.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will tell you, I didn't like Severance.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I liked the final episode.
Okay.
Like, to me, it was too slow of a slow burn. I would have appreciated some of that information that was revealed in the finale to have been a little more dispersed throughout the season. So, you know, but then again, maybe if I watched it again with like different expectations, I might like season 1 again.
It's funny you say that because Roxy kept telling me about that show, and I was like, I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And I finally did, and I started watching it, and the first episode, there's a long scene in the beginning. It was just someone in a hallway.
Yeah.
And I'm out. And I bailed, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, that's stupid. I said, I at least gotta give an episode a shot. And I did, and then I just fell in love with it. Like I loved it. So that, and then, you know, the other one I want to mention, because I feel like we're gonna be in the opposite side here.
Okay.
You just talked about the Wolfman.
Yeah.
What did you think?
That was not for me.
Oh, so we're on the same page. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I'll say that I did a little quick Patreon exclusive review.
Did you?
Because the audience was like, oh, like, give us your reactions. But my audience also knows that I try, and I've said this actually on your show, I try very hard to not talk badly about movies because I know how hard it is to make a movie. So my review is like 3.5 minutes long. It's like, I don't have much to say here.
That's I did an out of the theater reaction for it, and I was like, because I'm such a fan of Lee Winnell, and I really like Invisible Man so much. I thought it was Invisible Man was so detailed and was like a detailed thriller / horror, and had so much to say, whether it was domestic violence, other things in general, the way that it was intricate. It really was. This was just kind of classic old school horror chase, and Julia Garner was wasted.
I think Julia Garner, frankly, was miscast. Yeah. I don't think she was right in that part. And that if you're, especially because it's an expedited timeline for a chat who hasn't seen the movie, I won't give any spoilers, but that you have a brief setup and then it mostly all takes place in one night.
Yeah.
And so the chemistry and the family bond has to be, even if the husband and wife are at odds, it has to be something you can hang your hat on.
Right.
And unfortunately, that part was they didn't feel like there was any real love there. So,
I agree.
But and also just a downer. Like
it's a downer. There's nothing really happens to where you're like, oh, that's exciting. And I like Christopher Abbott as an actor. He didn't do it for me either.
He was the one thing that kind of kept me like. I thought he was doing a very good job. You know what I mean? Like for a movie that I didn't love.
Sure.
But that wasn't for me.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But did you see Nosferatu?
Yes, 3 times I've seen it.
So you loved
it. Actually, it's a funny story if I may, just real fast.
Please.
So I was in the one thing that I wanted to get invited to last year was the Nosferatu premiere. Yeah. And I did. I got invited to the LA premiere and I was so excited. So I wore a long dress and I did the whole thing. but I didn't bring my glasses. Like, I wear my glasses when I drive and when I watch movies so I can see a little more, like,
Yeah.
a little more clearly. So I get into them because I didn't have clutch. I had a cute purse. So I was like, I get to the movie and I'm about 20 minutes in and I was like, ah, yes, a vampire movie that is dark. I can't see anything.
Oh,
I'm going
no.
to need to see this again.
Oh, no.
So then I'm like, okay, I go with another group of friends. They haven't seen it yet. They get tickets to a screening in 35 millimeter. I'm like, okay, great. I got my glasses. We're ready. Kristian, it was one of the worst projections I have ever seen in my life. With my glasses,
wow.
it was worse
than
the premiere. So, me, Hector Navarro, Abby, our friend Aaron, I get them all together and we go see it in IMAX.
Oh, perfect.
And
that's going to do it.
Yeah. And it was the Universal City Walk IMAX.
Oh, it's great.
So that was like, I leaned over to them at the end and I was like, okay, that is the definitive way for you all to see this movie. Take it from me. I've seen it in every format you could possibly imagine. And now you know
exactly. Yeah. I loved it. I loved that movie. Really dug it. I like Northman. I like that one. I'm not a big witch fan. I've never seen The Lighthouse, but I really like what Eggers does. And so and I was pumped about this because in general, the Bram Stoker's Dracula in general. So when he did it, I was like, okay, let's see what you got. And what he did that was so great is that he made it feel, even though it's a tale that everyone knows and it's Dracula, it made it feel like his own movie. It's not easy to do.
I think for me, because if I may, push up my nerdy glasses.
Please.
So I grew up, my brother loved the 1922 Murnau kind of version.
Wow.
So Nosferatu was on a lot in my house growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And horror is my thing. So I've seen the Murnau version many, many times. And I will say that for me, what was a little frustrating was in the Eggers version is the first hour. We are rocking and rolling. This feels like Robert Eggers. This is his style. He's so into the history and all of the Romani mythology and like folklore was really wonderful. But then for me, we get to the second hour and it is almost a straight remake of the 1922 version, like to the movie's detriment, I would argue. It just there were certain choices that he made and I kind of was like, but that said, the more I watch it, which is
you're like you do your own podcast on that alone.
Truly, I should do that. Those podcasts that are like 1 minute at a time.
Yes, you can do that.
I should really do that on Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But that final shot, meaning Orlok's finale.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, the nerd in me is just like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's great. It's great. He's a great filmmaker. He really is. He's amazing.
Amazing.
We have more to discuss, and we'll discuss just that. Just to let everybody know, yesterday, Roxy and Mike hit 106 questions. Pretty damn good. Right now, and then going into the question section, they had 30. As of right now, we got 13. That's pretty damn good. Going into, we're not going. We got another half an hour before we go into the questions. So with Clarke Wolfe, right now we've got 13. Can Clarke come in and knock Roxy and Mike off their perch at 106? We'll see.
I'm gonna go no, but we can try. Let's try.
You never know. And before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm very excited. I've been telling you guys all week, and I'm going to tell you again about our two wonderful sponsors, both BetterHelp and PROLON. Let me tell you about both of them. Here you go. Today, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. I've talked to you guys many times about BetterHelp. I've talked to you about Roxy and BetterHelp and how that's helped her tremendously in her life. And I know that it's benefited her. And this is January, man. And it brings you over 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. In 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story you've been wanting to revise. And life's not about resolutions that fade by in February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. I think of it more or less as therapy is kind of like an editorial partner. It helps you write new chapters, and it creates the meaningful story that you deserve to live. And I think that works out for everybody. As I mentioned with Roxy, it helped. It has helped people in my family. It has helped BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable, convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a device network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. You can switch therapists anytime, no extra cost. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing today. You get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. I've told you, and I told you last week, I'm going to tell you again about PROLON. Man, this was cool so far. Even my wife and I were discussing it the other day. Because I was like, look, I'm trying this challenge thing. I need to do it. You want to get that post-holiday reset. And it's pretty amazing. So you guys don't know. The new year, again, it's here. And I started a reset already after the holidays because of the indulgences. And I wanted to jumpstart my health in 2025. So I started with PROLON. It's that 5-day program. It's fasting, but it's with food. What? Yeah. I can nourish my body while experiencing benefits like fat loss and enhanced skin appearance and improved energy. And so with January fasting challenges, I have expert support, I have guidance, and a community to keep me on track. So basically what you do if you're craving a post-holiday reset, this is the best. So I'm starting it. It is a 5-day program, and it really is a game changer. Right? You nourish your body while you let the experience the benefits of fasting, like fat loss, better skin, improved energy. The meals that they come with, it's prepackaged, zero guesswork, which is exactly what I needed after the holiday. I can tell you that. So it's a structured way to rejuvenate and start the year feeling lighter, more energized, and ready to tackle anything. So ready to make 2025 your healthiest year? If you are, you got to order the PROLON 5-day kit. You go to prolonlife.com/bigthing, and you join in on their fasting challenge today. New groups start every Sunday in January. And PROLON is offering the listeners of this show 15% off their 5-day nutrition program for your post-holiday glow up when you go to prolonlife.com/bigthing. One more time, prolonlife.com/bigthing. Thank you to our friends over at PROLON. And of course, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Really appreciate you joining. I got some people DMing me, telling me they're signing up to stuff that helps out the show more than you know. Thank you guys. Okay. We got more stuff. Are you a House of the Dragon fan?
I'm not. Well,
Okay.
It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just that I didn't start.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do feel like maybe I should.
I love House of the Dragon.
You love it?
I like it more than most. I mean, a lot of people loved season 1, and season 2 people felt not that they didn't like season 2, but that it clearly was by the powers that be at HBO. They didn't give them enough episodes. They scaled it down. So instead of shooting everything they were supposed to for season 2, the end is a little underwhelming. It doesn't get to this big thing that they thought they were going to get to, and they're clearly going to get to it in season 3, and people are bummed about that. I like the lead up to it. I really enjoy the characters. What I like about House of the Dragon, even more so than Game of Thrones, to be honest, is that it's a contained story just about the Targaryens, you know, and it's not like, and I love Game of Thrones, but it's like you can watch an episode of Game of Thrones and it's about this person over there, and then it's about this person over that side of town, and then that person, and it's like, it's a lot, and it's great, but it's like after a while, it's hard, clearly, to keep up with that for 6 seasons. It's hard to do it and make it interesting if you're not following books. The characters are really rich, and I dig it, and I was excited to hear this story, which is House of the Dragon season 3. They got the filming set. Well, let's see what they say. Word has finally come through on the status of the 3rd season of HBO's epic fantasy series and Game of Thrones spinoff House of the Dragon. HBO renewed the show for a 3rd season in June 2024, just days before the 2nd season premiered on the Cabler. In August, showrunner Ryan Condal indicated scripts were in development with plans for an early 2025 shoot. Things got confusing in October at New York Comic Con when series stars Matt Smith, Fabian Frankel, and Tom Glynn Carney revealed they knew essentially nothing about the next season. Now, Redanian intelligence is reporting that the 3rd season shoot of House of the Dragon will run from March to October of this year. Going by past seasons, airing tends to take place nearly a full year after filming wraps. That would suggest we're not going to see a new run until late summer of early fall 2026. 2 years after the second season went to air. HBO has not officially announced any production or release plans for the series, only confirming previously that a third season is coming and the show will end with its fourth outing. HBO has another Game of Thrones spinoff, the 6th episode, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, set to debut this year. Now, to me, Clarke, this is the difference with a Game of Thrones and like Severance, right? Because Severance has 2 years or maybe 2.5 years, whatever from the premiere of whenever the first season came out. And then as you and I said, we're a little bit lost. We're like, where is it? Let's go. Game of Thrones is like, okay, don't worry about it. I know you guys are looking to see this, but watch this Game of Thrones show. And I'm still in Westeros. Okay, fine. And then House of the Dragon comes back. So I think that's a way to kind of ease it. In 2 years to do a scale of this production, I'm not hating it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we kind of feel like, please get it right. Please don't. I don't think it serves anybody when the post is rushed or the stories are rushed or like especially with these types of these big magical fantasy slash action slash drama shows. Right. And I think that one thing that I know is that a lot of times they will sign up like series, like they'll sign talent and cast for 2 seasons at a time, 3 seasons at a time, or they'll shoot a block and then they'll cut it in half and they'll say season 1 to season 2.
Right.
So I don't know if the team at New York Comic Con was sort of playing coy, or maybe they just straight up didn't know the answer. I don't know. But I do think I agree with you, like staying in Westeros, whether it's the same series and then bouncing around, with different series, but keeping the audience sort of in that universe, I think is a smart idea.
Yeah, it's like I still care. Now, the magic trick is it's got to be good.
It's true. Otherwise, then you go, oh, and I don't care. Yeah, and then you leave Westeros forever.
Then you're glad that it's another 2 years before that thing comes out,
Yeah.
So that comes out this year. I'm excited to see what they do because it's a universe I want to succeed. I really do like being there. I like the way that they do it. It's like a even more, I don't want to say an adult version because Lord of the Rings is adult, but even more adult version of Lord of the Rings. And I'm all for it. I love what they're doing over there. So we'll see when it comes out. Another fantasy world is Narnia. I don't know if you're following all the news that was going on with, right?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting, bigger industry question.
Yes, it is.
So I'm glad that we're kind of talking about it.
All right, let's get into exactly what that is. And the Netflix chief talks about the Narnia IMAX release. So Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has commented on recent reports that Greta Gerwig's The Chronicles of Narnia has secured an IMAX theatrical release before its debut on the streaming service. In mid-2023, Greta Gerwig closed a deal to direct 2 films for the streaming service based on the famed Chronicles of Narnia fantasy novels by C.S. Lewis, which Netflix has had the screen adaptation rights since 2018. Last year came the reports that Gerwig was growing frustrated with Netflix not budging on its stance on not releasing films in cinema, the odd exception for awards qualifying purposes, and was considering walking away from the project. Then the talk changed and rumors sprang up that Gerwig and Netflix were talking about IMAX as a potential Narnia theatrical release, rumors that turned out to be true. When it was announced last week, Netflix and IMAX had locked down a deal. That deal sees Gerwig's first Narnia film scoring an exclusive theatrical run on around 1,000 screens worldwide on Thanksgiving Day 2026 before the film hits streamers on Christmas Day. Netflix has also guaranteed to play the film for 2 weeks so far, but many took it as a sign that Netflix may finally be thawing on its hard-line stance on theatrical windows and more films will follow. Sarandos, speaking during yesterday's quarterly earnings call to investors, wants to make it quite clear that Netflix is committed to giving its slate a streaming release first and foremost. He adds via Deadline that it was the sheer scale of Gerwig's Narnia that made an IMAX release a priority. He says, our core strategy is to give our members exclusive first-round movies on Netflix. The Narnia IMAX release is a release tactic. We routinely release movies in theaters a couple of weeks before to qualify for awards, to meet festival requirements, and to prime the publicity pump a bit. Way to spin it, Ted. In the case of Narnia, it's a 2-week special event. I think it's very differentiated from other runs because I doubt anyone has a screen as big as an IMAX screen at home. Mostly, I wanted to say I'm incredibly excited to be working with Greta on this movie. This is the real story and the real reason they're doing it. We're super excited to get into production so we can talk about how great the movie is, more so than which screen it is on. She's an incredible director, and this is an exciting project. Filming on the project, slated to commence in July, no one is quite clear about Gerwig's plans for the novel, but there has been talk that she would combine them into one giant narrative rather than adapt individual stories from the 7-novel saga. Clarke, you were just talking about how this is more like a industry thing, and I agree with you, but I'm curious why you initially said that.
Well, because I think that the hard and fast, we are a streamer. It's like, I think that these companies need to be a little more nimble and meet the audience where they are. And I think that, frankly, if Netflix is interested, and I know on our slate is to talk about price increases, if they're interested in making money, what the heck are they doing? Like, say, turning down the potential to sell out an IMAX for 2 weeks. So I think that this is indicative of our industry, because there's always this question between filmmakers and studios and streamers and the like. Where is our movie going to go? How is it going to be presented to the audience? And the fact that Greta, I think, is smartly maybe applying a little pressure and saying, y'all, I just directed the biggest movie ever in the theater. Do you guys not want a piece of that? Like, I feel like, I think it's just a bigger indication that all of the people in charge need to be nimble. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I do. And I think there's a lot to look at this. The business is changing overall.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that putting your theater in movies, it means more money for you. If you're an actor, it means more money for you. If you have producer credit, all these different things, it means more money for you if it does well in the theater. So there's another reason why Netflix puts it on streaming. And I don't disagree, or not. I believe them when they also say this is our strategy. We do streaming movies. It's what we do. We do this for qualifying runs. Sure. But you got to budge a little bit, especially when you're signing up a director, as you just said, someone who had a $1 billion movie come out with Barbie, which never in a million years anybody thought that Barbie would make $1 billion, and it did, and it got Oscar nominations, and she's a hot director right now. So people want to work with her, and she wants to do Narnia, which is an IP you're trying to get off the ground. You have the rights to, and she comes in and she goes, "I'm going to walk away from it." And you go, "All right, give her a release, let her do it." But the problem is, not a problem for everyone else, but a problem for them, is that, as you said, is a precedent now. So
yeah.
if I'm the next director, I'm like, well, you gave it to Greta Gerwig, why can't we get a theatrical release? And they're going to go, what are they going to say to me? Because you're not Greta Gerwig? Well, then screw you. I'm going to go somewhere else. And yes, that's what it says.
It's I also think we kind of touched on Moana and Bob Iger's choice to say, what are you doing? Put this in the theater, and then it makes $1 billion. I think that Netflix, if they're smart, they're seeing this movie in particular. Like, let's even take Greta out of it. Let's focus on the fact that this is a family epic kind of thing. Okay, well, what is making the most money at the box office right now? It's family-centric films, right? And so and Barbie, female-centric films in a lot of ways. So if you're smart, you have both of these things together, and you can book out these IMAX screens. I just feel like it's, it's less about it. They need to be able to evaluate their strategy on a case-by-case basis.
Sure. I also wonder what they're going to do, and if they would extend it. Because they also might think, like, look, we don't, because there's certain movies, this wasn't Netflix, I think it was Amazon, but like Red One, right?
Yeah.
Red One they put out in the theater. It doesn't do very well in the theater. It destroys on streaming. Right? It just, because they put it out at the right time. But I wonder if Netflix puts out Narnia for those 2 weeks, and it makes more box office, and it just crushes everybody. And they're going to pull it after 2 weeks, or they're going to keep it in the theater and say, wait a minute, we can make more money. People want to see this in the theater.
This is the other thing that I've never really understood, especially in this, this environment that we find ourselves in, creating an event. So for instance, let's think about Wicked. So if they said, okay, we're going to screen Wicked Part 1 and For Good, back to theaters in one edition, I would show up to that. I feel like, so I think if you get the word out, if Netflix get the word out and says, okay, 2 week engagement, this is it, you guys better go, and they sell it out, then you stage another engagement, I think, or you extend the engagement.
Yes, we have to do if it's making money, but you wouldn't be able to do it in IMAX because of the way IMAX works.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you got to like secure the screens and whatever big movie's coming out that November, December already has it locked down. It's tricky. It's weird. I wonder how it's going to do. But Netflix looking any way to make money, and another way they're going to make money is to take it out of your pocketbook, and that's what they're going to do because they're raising prices yet again. That's right, Netflix, who raises prices every other Tuesday, today is reportedly increasing its subscription prices in the U.S. and other markets, including the first price hike for its ad-supported plan. Well, that was the whole point. To have it down was whatever. The streamer announced its Q4 2024 earnings results Tuesday, with the company talking in its biggest ever quarterly increase in subscribers, gaining 18.91 million new ones for the period. I wonder how many Monday Night Raw brought in. Brought in a lot of wrestling fans. That's way above the 5.1 million added last quarter and the 13.1 million added in the fourth quarter of 2023. Buoyed by success like Squid Game Season 2, Carry On, Christmas Day, NFL, the company is now reaching 301.63 million subscribers. I'm surprised they didn't mention Raw in there. Brought in a lot of people. Netflix 2025 outlook for revenue looks to be between 43 to 44.5 billion, along with the news came of the new pricing is following. Standard with ads is $7.99 per month. That's up $1. Standard without ads is $17.99, up from $15.49. Premium without ads is now $24.99 a month, which was $22, almost $25 a month. Premium. Wow. Extra member $8.99 per month, up from $7.99. Netflix also announced an extra member with ads offering. The price adjustments apply to U.S., Canada, Portugal, and Argentina. The last major U.S. price hike was in October 2023, and the last time the standard plan saw a price rise was 2022 in January. I mentioned it kind of jokingly but seriously in the intro that we're all going to go, how dare you do this? But you're still not going to cancel your subscription.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I've been contemplating canceling my Netflix subscription because I don't use it.
Okay.
I don't use it like I used to. And I'm not a wrestling fan and I don't care about football. So this stuff doesn't really matter to me. But I do think it is also insanely frustrating to see how successful they've been with live. I understand. I know the Mike Tyson fight was a disaster, but they fixed it. They learned from it. It was successful, and they improved the live element very quickly for the Christmas football game. And of course, they're doing the wrestling. So I'm kind of it's annoying to me that they would go, okay, great, now we are raising our prices. It's like, how much money do you guys need? I also got this morning, I got an email blast from Netflix that now they're opening a restaurant.
Wow.
This is not a joke. Netflix Bites. Netflix and MGM Grand announced the grand opening of Netflix Bites Vegas restaurant. I was just like, what are we doing?
I know. It's just, capitalism, baby. That's how it goes. And I think that's going to be, it's weird because there's one side of it. It's like, okay, you're doing putting all these costs, you're making all these movies, you're spending on all these different, because they're a film studio. They're a film studio. And so you look at the billions of dollars that Warner Brothers spends, Disney spends, and all these things, and you're like, I understand, and they're producing all these things now with football. It's a lot of money that comes in for sure. So that's part one. And it's like when you rent a place and you're renting for a bit and you have and you don't have rent control and you have good rent, and then you go month to month. Yep. And then every 4 months, 5 months, landlord says, oh yeah, I'm jacking up the price now. Like, well, I don't want to move, or you either move. And that's the thing. I just think there's too much on Netflix now, and they know it. Plus, I think that the strike, with all the things that actors and writers and everybody rightfully so, what they got is that now that there's new deals that they didn't have to pay before that they have to pay now, and they're trying to pay for it and still make a lot of profit.
I think that's the thing that is, I understand greed. I understand the late stage capitalism, but at the same time, part of me is like, but really, how much money how much profit you know, the endless growth thing is it's not sustainable. And I think that yeah, so like the deals that we got, the actors and the writers got, are not going to bankrupt Netflix. That's
Right.
not what we're doing here. And but you know, the reason that I was contemplating canceling is one, because I don't use it, but also I was like, well, I had been a Netflix subscriber since the beginning, the DVDs, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
deal. I had like my price, what it was, and then they grandfathered me for a minute, and then they forced me to have the ad
Mm,
plan or whatever. And so now, I have no incentive. Like I can just rejoin at any time. It's not
right,
like I'm holding on to anything. Like to
right.
use your rent control analogy. So part of me is like, all right, well, sign up for $5.90 or $7.99 a month when Stranger Thing the final
Right.
season
That's what I was
comes.
just gonna say.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then I go, okay, I'm all set. Because this is the other thing. They put it all out at once.
Right. So you
So,
can knock it out. You can knock it out quick and then cancel it, which I think is something that I, not just for that reason, but I think that they should stop doing that because I
stop
just,
doing that a million years ago.
I know. I hate it. I mean, the selfish person, whether it's me at times when I'm like, oh, I want to watch it all right now. That if you really think about your show that you love, you want it to be in the conversation for the 3 months that it's on.
Okay, look, forget about the property in general, but I noticed this the most when The Sandman came out.
Yeah.
I was like, they just spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this very high profile adaptation, and they just dump it,
Yep.
and then it is out of the
Yeah.
conversation immediately.
Yeah.
And I just thought, if you were ever going to do it with a series, this should have been it. You know, like what are you thinking? It's just a bone. It's such a bonehead move at
Well,
this
it goes
point.
back to the story that we were talking about with Greta Gerwig. It's like they don't want to bend from their stance. Like their
Right.
stance is we do the binge model. That's what we do. We do no theaters. We do the binge model. And the one thing I kept seeing, and I couldn't believe people kept saying this. So like, I don't know what you're talking about. Fallout was all dumb, and that was in the conversation for a while. It was in the conversation for like 3 weeks, maybe a month,
Y-
maybe, and then it
Yeah.
was gone. It was
Yeah.
gone. Could have been in the conversation for 4 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I,
and
I I
that's
couldn't agree more. Yeah.
yeah. So I just don't think they're going to budge on it because of that reason. We don't budge. This is what we do. But I think that's silly. I think sometimes you need to budge, and I think you should listen to what people are saying because the majority of people, like you would have if Netflix did that for Stranger Things. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like the final season, everybody would be talking about that for week, and if you put Severance out, the second season, all in one dump, people would talk about that show for like it's like because it's kind of like a niche. It's popular, but
Right.
it's still kind of niche, and I think it's stupid. I hate it.
Yeah, and also it's just I don't understand how it is monetarily, how it makes sense for them.
Right.
I don't understand, because then you really do have to keep churning, churning, churning. You can't buy yourself any time. But I saw somebody in chat saying like they should do it on a case by case basis. And even that I think makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the final season of Netflix, I think, or excuse me, of Stranger Things, I think we're expecting those episodes to be feature length. You know, like they're going to be
That's what they
over
said.
60
Yeah.
minutes. And
Yeah.
so it's like, really, you're going to dump
I
all of
know.
that content in a weekend for the finale of your biggest show you've ever had, and then it's over? Like,
It's stupid. It's really
it's so
stupid. It could
stupid.
be in the conversation for a bit, and no one would fault them if they were like, you know what, we were gonna put it all on one side. We're gonna put it week to week, and people are like, oh, I wanted to watch it all, and then you're like, because the other thing is not healthy to do that because people are gonna stay up until like 4 a.m. watching it, like walking to work, like banging anything, thinking they're in the Upside Down.
This is the other thing with the spoilers, by the way. I
Yeah.
remember when the last season came out, and I was like, all right, nobody look at your phone. It's
Right.
like, put that phone goes over here. I'm going to a friend's house. We're watching it all, like, as soon as it comes out, because I'm a big fan, and I don't want the series to be spoiled for me.
I same page. We've been on the
Yeah.
same page. I thought we were going to be on the opposite page. A couple different things. We're on the same page the whole damn show.
Look at us.
Look at us. Like we never stopped doing shows together. So I put this story in for you because I remember you, and maybe I'm wrong, but I remember you being a big Sam Raimi head. Is that true?
I love
All
Sam
right.
Raimi.
So
Yeah.
I remember. So there
Yeah.
you go. So this is, well, right now we had some other ones, but I think we're going to do this story, then we'll get to the questions. Dylan O'Brien joined Sam Raimi's Send Help. Dylan O'Brien will star opposite Rachel McAdams in the darkly comic horror thriller Send Help, which Sam Raimi will direct and produce for 20th Century Studios. The project, dubbed Misery Meets Castaway, I like it already, is being seen as Raimi's return to the horror genre. It also marks the first horror film he has directed since 2009's Drag Me to Hell. McAdams stars as Linda, a woman on a business flight with her irritating boss, Bradley, who Dylan O'Brien plays. The plane crashes, leaving them stranded on a deserted island, the only two who survive. When Linda has serious survival skills, Bradley does not. They must overcome past grievances and work together to survive, but ultimately it's a battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. Mark Swift and Damian Shannon penned the initial script, with Scott Beck and Brian Woods doing a rewrite. Zanib Azizi will produce the film, which is targeting a theatrical release, likely sometime next year. Send Help will mark the first time Dylan O'Brien and Sam Raimi have worked together, whereas McAdams worked with Raimi on the Doctor Strange sequel. O'Brien is coming off a well-regarded performance last year in Saturday Night, Caddo Lake, and Ponyboy. He's back at Sundance this coming week with Twinless. He's also not long ago shot down long-standing rumors that he was up for the roles of Spider-Man and The Flash at one point, saying he never got even remotely close to anything beyond a casting pre-call on any superhero project. Okay. This one, to me, I like Dylan O'Brien a lot, man. I really do.
What do you know him from? Like, I know you just read his credits, obviously, but like, what are your favorite performances of his?
So I'll tell you right now, I loved him in Saturday Night as Dan Aykroyd. Really liked him in that. Before that, it's funny because when Ellis and I had to see all those freaking Twilight spin-off, the tween movies, whatever they were called, I was dreading Maze Runner.
And
I left Maze Runner going, A, Wes Ball, damn good director, and made that a lot better than it could be. And B, Dylan O'Brien's damn good.
Okay.
He was really good. He stood out and out. Let me look at his credits real quick, and I'll tell you, because I've seen tons of his stuff. And
I just didn't recognize him off the bat.
Okay.
I didn't see the Saturday Night Live movie. It didn't really hold any interest for me. But I did see the first Maze Runner, but that was only the one and done, like one time, and then I was sort of out of it. And then the other credits I didn't quite recognize or I hadn't seen. So, but either way, I mean, I love the enthusiasm for him, and I think that that's great. And also, I mean, Sam Raimi knows what he's doing with casting. Like
it's funny you say that, because I look at it, even though he shot down the rumors about Spider-Man and other things, like he was poised to be such a big star. I know he got into a really bad accident. He was I forget on what was, it might have been on one of the Maze Runner movies, but he got into a really bad accident and he came back from it, obviously. But I think there was like a big break, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Let me see, 2018, I mean, I'm not sure where how big the break was, but I remember that. But yeah, he hasn't been in anything like that it doesn't surprise me that you said that, because I can't even remember. Someone else said that, like, who's Dylan O'Brien? I'm like, really? And I just kind of assumed everybody knew who he was, but he's not that famous. But he's good. He's really, really good. And he was great as Dan Aykroyd. He really was.
Awesome. And of course, and that's a bigger movie that I just personally didn't see. So that's on me. That's my fault.
I'm curious to what I feel like you like that movie. You would either really like that movie or you would hate it.
Yeah. That was what I anticipated.
Yeah. It's the way that it's shot and put together that I really dug. It was in my top 10 of last year.
Okay.
And Rachel McAdams, I love. It's funny because my friend Sam, who she is, I've known her since the first grade. Okay. And since I moved back to New York, she's a mother of three. She takes her kids to all these like basketball games, and she doesn't really have a lot of time for a long time to just watch movies, to do anything. She doesn't. People because when I mention certain things that she hasn't said, people on this channel, how isn't she seeing that? Because she's not in our world.
Totally.
And I can. She's had kids she got married really young. She's had kids, for most of her life after college, right? So I can tell you, if I didn't do this for a living, it's very hard for me to watch movies at home. It's very hard. So she had not seen any of the MCU. She knew nothing about it. So we've been doing full-on reactions of all this stuff from the MCU. We just shot. We haven't released it yet, but we just shot Doctor Strange, and we were watching Rachel McAdams. We love Rachel McAdams. So
Yeah.
it's a long way to say that really dig that she's joining back up with Sam Raimi. But I'm more excited that Sam Raimi's doing something like this. I don't love his big, huge blockbuster movies.
I agree.
Yeah.
So they mentioned in the article that this is the last time or the first time since Drag Me to Hell that he's been in the horror space. And Drag Me to Hell is one of my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. I love it. I love it so much. And for fans like me, yeah, it's great that Sam is doing big things and he's producing a lot within the horror space. But yeah, I've wanted him to kind of get back to the horror world for a long time. And so I love that this is something that he's interested in doing, because at the end of the day too, I think he enjoys doing the big movies. I think he wants to do the big movies, but the things that make Sam Raimi are the weird, the little quirks, the sense of humor, the personality. And we all know that if you're working within a big franchise, you have to execute certain things in certain ways. I felt like in the Multiverse of Madness, that there were bits where I was like, that's Sam Raimi.
The piano.
There's
Sam
so
Raimi.
many great little bits, and so I was like, okay, like there he is. But if we can let him kind of do his own thing, like I think that would be. I'm super excited for that.
And it's also, look, he's doing with Fox, who's owned by Disney, so he probably made that deal while he was there. And there was rumors that he's going to do, for a bit, there was rumors that he was going to do the Avengers movie. I'm glad that he didn't. I didn't love Multiverse of Madness. I just don't think that that's where I want to see Sam Raimi do his thing.
It's tough too, because obviously Scott Derrickson leaving the project, and they're already in, he kind of hopped onto a moving train, I feel like, so he just had to execute. Well, I don't want to oversimplify, but I think that was what was going on with Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, there was a lot, but I mean, look, the movie still made $800 million, so it still did very well.
Exactly.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to get into the question section of the show. Currently, the people to beat, Roxy and Mike, who joined forces yesterday and got 106, beating Rocha on Monday. So Clarke Wolfe coming in to see if she can do it. Starting out with 19 the other day when Rocha had 73. He had 20 going into the question section. So will the audience come on and take Clarke over the finish line? We shall see. All right. So first question. This is from Mustafa, who says, hey, no idea if you talked about this yet, but what is your take on the Sly, John Voight, and Mel Gibson news? I don't see them doing much. I just don't know. I mean, they're like 70 years old.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what their politics are. They're 70 years old. They're not in touch with, you don't win in any brand. And again, politics aside, in any brand, you usually don't bring in the 70 to 80-year-old people to connect with the rest of the audience who are buying the tickets. So, yeah,
agreed. That truly, I'm not just keeping my mouth shut. Agreed. Aside, put the politics aside. Yeah. I truly thought the exact same thing. I was like, oh yes, the people who have their pulse on the entertainment industry. What? John Voight has whatever.
If you brought in Robert De Niro. If you brought in 5 very liberal 75 to 80-year-old people, I'd say, what are you doing? What are you bringing Robert De Niro and who knows, Al Pacino and Julia Roberts is only 60, but still.
Yes, agreed. I think they don't have a good grasp on. I don't think they have a grasp on the business in any way.
Yeah. Ewok. I'll tell you, the only one out of all of them is Stallone, who's still tied into what younger audiences still want. Because look at Tulsa King.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So with Tulsa King, at the very least, he's working with Paramount. So there's a way that you could make the argument, okay, Paramount Plus, that's a streaming thing.
Tyler Sheridan.
Totally. So I could see that. But at the same time, industry wise, if I may, these guys are not getting the same treatment or deals that like if truly they were ambassadors between the White House and the government and Hollywood or the entertainment industry. Let's take that at face value. They also are not their legacy. They're being treated differently. Like, of course they are. So I just, again, I don't feel like they have their pulse on how the industry is actually going.
Yeah, I always the way that I think you should do it. You really want to do ambassadors of it. You make it like 10, and you make it from all sides of you take those same people that you just put them on, leave them on, and then put De Niro on there too, and then take someone who's 22, take someone who's 30 from both sides of the aisle, and put them all together and see if they can all make it work together. I do agree that when it's one sided either way, it's not good. But these guys are not the ones I would vote in to be the ones.
Correct. I agree.
All right. Ewok. I'm not particularly excited for a Shawn Levy Star Wars film. The best thing he ever directed was the Dear Billy episode of Stranger Things. Aside from that, I haven't loved any of his film work. I really liked Real Steel.
I really love Free Guy.
Yeah, Free Guy is a good one too. Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people love the Adam Project.
It's okay.
To me, it was a softer version of
Yeah.
Free Guy.
Yeah, I agree.
But I thought, I will tell you that when I finished, I went with a friend to see Free Guy. She was doing PR, home video PR on it, and she was like, "Do you want to come with me? Like, I'll just, it's on me, my treat." I was like, "Okay, sure, whatever." And I thought some of the action sequences,
They were great.
I didn't know it was a Shawn Levy movie. So I was like, I'm watching, and I'm like, who directed this? This is like the way I loved this. And then it said Shawn Levy, and I was like, what?
I felt the same way when I saw Real Steel. I thought that was going to be the stupidest movie. Like everyone always says, the Rock'em Sock'em Robot type thing. It was great. It had such heart to it. And as much as I really do like Free Guy a lot, but if I want I want him to go more into a tone. I want him to go more into the tone of Real Steel for a Star Wars movie than I do Free Guy, obviously, right?
Fair.
And I think that because that Real Steel, I mean, there's some comedic moments in Real Steel, but it was like a father and son story. It was essentially, I don't know if anybody, speaking of Stallone, if you guys remember Over the Top, that's what the movie was. It was just, instead of arm wrestling, it was robot fighting.
Yeah. It's and Ewok, that episode of Dear Billy is an incredible episode of television.
It's really good. Okay, next one. Speaking of Ewok, Clarke, as a horror fan, what are your thoughts on Heretic? I hope that Hugh Grant can score a surprise Best Actor Oscar nomination tomorrow. Maybe with the AI controversy, he will.
I love this question because I talked about it a little over on my channel, but like when Hugh Grant was nominated for Best Actor in a musical or comedy for Heretic at the Golden Globes, I was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
As a horror fan, I was like, okay, I will give the Golden Globes credit in that I like that they separate drama from musicals and comedies, let's say, because that way musical and comedy performances actually have the space to be recognized,
right?
Because the Academy is not, they're just not going to do it. They're not making room. But that said, I do think that if I could make a change, it would be to update the category to just genre. You know what I mean? Like, because that was not, Heretic is not a comedy. There are some jokes in it, yes, but that's not a comedy. So, but to your point, I don't think he's going to get in there. It is a great performance. I want to see more of that from Hugh Grant for sure. And, but I don't think it's going to get in there. Although, Kristian, I watched the first like 2/3 of The Brutalist last night.
Oh yeah.
Having read about what was going on and with the AI, and I don't think that this is going to impact Adrian Brody's chances. I think that he is going to be nominated for the Best Actor Oscar.
I think he will definitely be nominated. The question is, will he win? Because I think there are a lot of people who feel strongly about that. The question is, again, we don't have to rehash this. We talked about the last 2 days, but like, the question is, how much did they use this on his voice?
Yeah, and I was really disappointed. Actually, I was disappointed when I read the information. And I was disappointed when I saw the movie because I thought, you don't need, the audience would not know, you let him do the acting. Like, it just felt unnecessary.
Yeah.
It felt like this little weird, we just have to make it perfect. No, you don't. that's what human beings are, we are imperfect, and
Right.
that is what actors are. The raw moments, the imperfection, that's what we do. So and that's what makes an audience fall in love with our work.
Right.
So
And
like
let him fall on it and say, like, look, if it's distracting to where it doesn't sound good and the audience doesn't connect, well, then he doesn't get nominated. It doesn't work. And if it does, I don't know. It's we'll see. We had a long conversation about it the other day, but that's ever evolving story. Miguel Zayon, I like that it's most likely going to be a standalone film. If this is at least very good, it can slowly mellow the Star Wars fatigue and implications of BTS drama. One would hope, but now when it comes to circumstances like this, I have consistently used Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as an example. Meaning that everyone was like, oh man, Marvel's in trouble now. Marvel's in trouble. They haven't had a hit of these movies. The TV shows are not good. And here comes Guardians 3. It's great. Everyone's like, oh, Marvel's back. It's like, no, the franchise had the same director it had for the first two. It had a story that they wanted to tell for a bit. They had the same cast. They didn't have to change anything. It was the same regime that was there before, basically working on this movie. It was the end of a trilogy. Then the next movie was the Marvels, and I don't know. I thought the Marvels was just terrible, and it was terrible. I thought it was anyway. And then these other shows, the Secret Invasion show was terrible, and all these different things, just terrible. So this is the same thing with Star Wars. It's like, okay, wait a minute. You have Acolyte, which was terrible, and then you lead into Skeleton Crew. I haven't watched Skeleton Crew, but I hear it's good. And then Mandalorian and Grogu. Is that going to be decent? If it is it just another season of television? Like, what's the plan? That's the big question, is what is the plan? If there's a plan, that's when I think the fatigue will start to die down on Star Wars.
Yep. I mean, again, I think I don't disagree.
Yep. Miguel follows this up, Clarke, and says, I just saw A Real Pain and A Different Man, which is Sebastian Stan. I like both very much. Have you guys seen them? And Kieran, for Oscar nominations, Sebastian Stan was very good in Another Man. Is he top 5 best actors coming from outside the MCU, maybe even better than Evans? You know, I didn't see and the other one is The Apprentice, which I saw a little scene from, and I'll tell you the scene that I saw from him, what I liked about it is you could have easily fallen into just an impression and not a actual dialect, and I was impressed with what he did. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak on it, but I think he's a very talented actor. I did not see Another Man, but I did see A Real Pain, and I thought it was, I think Kieran's probably going to win Best Supporting Actor.
Oh, that's great. I mean, so that I was deciding last night between The Brutalist and A Real Pain.
Yeah.
And so I watched The Brutalist, but I will watch. I'm a big I love Succession.
Yeah.
And so I like Kieran Culkin a lot. And I've been curious about that movie for sure. I really, really did want to see A Different Man. And it's not, I don't believe it's like, it's streaming to rent, but not as a part of anything, included.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nominated. Sebastian Stan wasn't nominated for SAG, and those are the only award screeners that I get.
I see.
But I did see The Apprentice. I did watch The Apprentice, and I think it's very good. It's very good, and exactly what you said. It's not a caricature. The performance is incredible. It's just Sebastian Stan is an incredible actor.
He's really
good.
Yeah,
I
really
love
good.
what he's choosing too.
Yeah.
I love what he's choosing.
Yeah, and then he's going back to Marvel also. He's not
Of course.
he's not turning his nose on what got him there in the first place. So yeah, I think he's pretty damn talented. Bantos. With recent cultural change in America, will Hollywood drop their progressive ideology? Got to go with the culture. I mean, like I said before, and I stand by this too. I think there's a perfect blend. I think there's a blend of how to do anything, whether it's Hollywood and anything. There's a business. I think blend is more so than just a shift in any direction. But I don't know, Clarke, how do you feel?
I think that I personally don't see. How do I say this? I don't see inclusion as an agenda, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that by recognizing our own biases, it's good to go, oh, you know what? Actually, I could help, I could recognize people of different persuasions, different ethnicities, different genders, whatever, right? So I don't see that as an agenda. I see that as a course correction, to be honest with you. Oh yeah, cool. We should invite more people to the table.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Just real quick to say that, like, I agree with that 100%, right? But I think that what happens sometimes too is that in the same way that when you look at a movie that does very well in the box office, let's say it's a science fiction space movie, and then everybody wants to make a science fiction space movie. It's like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because you want to make a good science fiction space movie, or because everyone else is doing it and you're just doing it because, right? The initial idea of doing everything you just said, of course, spot on. You should want more people to be involved. The question is, are you doing it because you don't want people to yell at you on Twitter, or are you doing it because you really want to do it? Your real agenda, not agenda, like you said, your real purpose is to say, yeah, we want people to be included and we want to find the right people. Like, I think there's two sides of it. I really do. I think sometimes people abuse it because, like, oh yeah, we have to do this because I've heard people not in places that I've worked who've been like, well, we have to do this because, and it's like, not because you A, want to, and B, it's the right thing to do because that person's the right person for the job.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff that I think that gets lost sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard because again, like I think our own internal biases, sometimes we don't even know we have them, right?
Mhm.
And so having those conversations so that one can recognize our own biases, like that's important. But like, you know, so that's what I would say. And by the way, like I don't think I'm seeing in the chat, like should LGBTQ people be on Disney shows, Clark? Yeah, LGBTQ people are all over the planet. So I
Right.
don't have a problem with like you know, two dads on a kids show. Like that's a lot of kids have two dads. You know what I'm saying? So like to me, this is not like I don't know. I don't see the force. I don't see the agenda as much as I think other people do.
Fair enough.
So
All right. Next one, Ian Davis. Clark, you were the GOAT of the Schmodown in my book. Legendary. What is your greatest trilogy of all time?
ooh, well, I can tell you my favorite
Yeah.
trilogy, which is a trilogy that I made up, and that is the first three Paranormal Activity movies.
Hilarious.
So the first three
First three.
the first three Paranormal Activity movies are my favorite trilogy, and the reason I say that is because actually um they were telling a story about a family. Like it really,
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
bouncing around in
Yeah.
time. I loved the mythology. I loved the world building. And I was like, wow, this is actually a world that I want to keep going in. And Chris Landon's the marked ones I like a lot. But then after that, like it's just the franchise
Right.
abandons the family element. And so it fell apart for me. But yeah, it was never marketed as a trilogy.
No,
but that is
but still,
Yeah.
I mean, those three movies. Armada. Wow, Brutalist was pretty excellent and epic. See it in the theater, if anything, please. Still, I think Dune 2 is a bit better, but great movies overall. Dune 2 was my favorite of the. You didn't like Dune 2?
Dude, no. I
Oh.
just got kicked off of my HBO Max.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know how to log back into it, and then I can't. So I'm just like, I've been sitting down, trying to watch
Oh, no.
Dune 2
Oh, no.
for the last the last week. So I hear you, I feel you. I'm trying to watch it. Just give me a little more time.
It's my favorite.
And by the way, I have AMC A-list now. I got it back in December. So now I'm actually going to see way more movies because I don't get invited to like screenings. Like I'm not on that regular screening invite list, you know? And so yeah.
I love Dune. I love that movie so much. Big Bang OT4. Should Lucasfilm reboot the sequel trilogy in the future by adapting the expanded universe stories that focus on Mara Jade and Luke's children? They won't. Should they? No, because they're not in that spot to they just pick and choose. Hey, you know what? Some people don't like those movies, so we're going to pretend they didn't exist. Because a lot of people who did work on those movies, that would be like, they made $1 billion. Why are you erasing my work? What are you doing? No, they can push off of it. I don't think they are going to ever do that Mara Jade. And I'll tell you what, as long as Filoni's there, they'll never do Mara Jade because Lucas hates Mara Jade, so I guess Filoni has to hate Mara Jade.
I think that Lucasfilm should reboot nothing.
Right.
Truly, there is enough there are enough characters and stories
and years
in this universe. Yes. We don't need any reboots in that universe. None.
Agreed. Big Bang follows it up. Timothy for Best Actor. Who are your winner picks? I'll tell you, if it wasn't for the controversy, I would say Brody and a shoe-in. But even though I haven't seen the movie yet, it just from the buzz, that I'm just like looking at the numbers in general. But my pick, and who I hope, is Timothy Chalamet, because I'm a big Bob Dylan fan in general. And you talk about how easily something could have turned into an impression. That's part one. Part two is that impression singing songs. Like, there's not just like an artist like, oh, I can kind of sound like him. You have to sound like Bob Dylan, and in the same way that from every little word that he says. And he was great. Timothy Chalamet, from that performance alone, I think he is a very, very, he's a next level actor. We're gonna hear about him for a very long time.
Yeah, I even though I don't love the movie as much as you do, Kristian, I do think that the performance is fabulous. I thought the acting in A Complete Unknown was wonderful, and I think Timothy Chalamet gave a great performance. I'm almost done with The Brutalist, and I'm loving Adrian Brody's performance. And here's the other thing: like, allegedly, the AI, I guess, was just like the voiceover in terms of reading the letters. And so, to me, if that doesn't disqualify a performance, like what I'm seeing. So, like, I really, really, I don't know though. Who else do we think is going to be in the conversation?
Well, Timothy Chalamet for sure. If you look at let's see Golden Globes nominations.
Because Sebastian Stan won for a Different Man.
Right. So let's see
at the Globes.
He did. So let's see winners and nominees for this year for. What was it for actors in general? Like, okay. Let me ask you a question, Clarke, as someone who's in the acting field also.
Yeah.
Did you have an issue with actor/actress, or do you like the fact that they change it as female actor now?
Oh,
yeah.
I refer to myself as an actor. But I actually haven't thought a lot about that. I thought what you were going to say is, do you have a issue with separating the two, and meaning like should it just be best performance and mixing everything together? And no, I definitely don't think that should happen.
I don't either. Motion picture for the dramas was Adrian Brody, who won. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Daniel Craig for Queer, as we say, Ralph Fiennes.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph.
Conclave. Yes, Conclave. I just watched Conclave.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes, Sebastian Stan, and Timothy Chalamet. So that was, but for comedy, let's see who was nominated for comedy. You got Glenn Powell for Hitman. No. Gabriel LaBelle for Saturday Night Live. No. Hugh Grant for Heretic. No. Jesse Eisenberg, Real Pain. Maybe. Nominated. Jesse Plemons, Kinds of Kindness, and Sebastian Stan, A Different Man. So Sebastian Stan will probably get nominated for that. I think it's between Adrian Brody and Timothy Chalamet, with Brody probably getting the win, depending on if anybody cares about this thing.
I'm very curious. Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
How the nominations shake out for sure.
All right, we're at 24 questions thus far. Mike Joyce. Wow. Sing Sing, what a beautiful movie. Back in theaters now for anyone who missed it when A24 bungled its initial release. An absolute must-watch. What happened with A24?
I don't. I think Mike is saying that maybe the movie came out, but it made no waves.
Okay.
And they didn't really push the promotion elements. And then, but now that he's buzzing, Coleman's, buzzing. Yeah.
Okay. Mike says Clarke's got a great YouTube Patreon. Please check it out. Yeah, you absolutely
Thanks, Mike.
should.
Very
should.
Sweet.
The link is in the description for Clarke's channel. As if you missed the beginning of the show, Clarke is relaunching her channel. She's doing streaming every Tuesday and Thursdays.
Monday and Thursday.
Monday and Thursday. So please go and check that out. Okay, so the next one. Thank you, Mike. Mike's always in here too. And for patrons of my channel, I'm going to be both patrons and members. I'm going to be putting up those raw reactions out pretty soon. Simon Section, Part 1. Miss Wolf, I can't decide whether or not you're prettier with or without your glasses. You're like a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, but you don't always look the same. There you go.
I saw that when it got put in the chat, and I was like, thank you.
He's saying you look pretty either way. Either way.
We love a Jerry Bruckheimer reference.
Yeah, that's right. Part 2. Also, regarding the American Psycho casting, I guess those rumors have been debunked. I honestly couldn't see Elvis, who once played Sting, is now gyrating his hips in Phil Collins' studio. Look at the camera. Again, the only reason, this is the difference. The reason why is because we've been talking about this whole debunking thing on.
Yeah.
Because I had heard a story that I said in another site said it wasn't happening, so right away it was debunked, as they said, but didn't come from anybody who particularly said it from the actual project. This is the creator of the book who said no, it's not happening.
Freddie Snellis,
Yes. So
and then there was another thing. Wasn't there another thing that was going around yesterday that was like, it was something, and it was like nobody from the production hasn't confirmed this at all.
Okay.
But anyway, I was with you. Sam and I were with you the day that this broke.
Right.
And and I said we don't need another American Psycho, and people got mad. And that which I was right. Like, because they were, but also they were like, again, with your, I see your chat with that nonsense, and I was like, no, dude, we don't need an American Psycho, not because I'm like saying that it's moral majority. No, I'm saying because the movie's perfect.
Because the movie's great. Right.
Leave it alone.
Yeah, we don't.
She did it. Mary did it. It's over.
It doesn't look like anyone's even talking about it. So Armada, I want Ryan Gosling for a Nice Guys TV show. I'm so curious because Russell Crowe was on Howard Stern, I guess, a couple of months ago, and he asked him about, because I don't think he's ever done a sequel, or if he did, I can't remember. But either way, he said the sequel he wanted to do was Nice Guys.
He said that a bunch.
He said it a bunch. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know. I don't think they got along, did they? From what I heard, I don't know. Maybe it's not true, but I could be making that up. But I
you mean like, Gosling and Crowe?
Yeah, I think that was when Crowe was going through some of his stuff. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know, but I thought that I had heard that somewhere.
Oh, I actually don't know. I've never heard it, but I know the people who love The Nice Guys love The Nice Guys.
I love that movie. Did you like it or no? No, okay.
But I should watch it again now that I like both of them a little better.
Okay, yeah, I liked the movie. Yeah, please go ahead.
Also, I was comparing it in my mind to the dynamics in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes,
and I love Downey and Val Kilmer together. Like, to me, that was a pairing that really was perfection.
Yeah.
And so then when I saw a similar dynamic and a similar vibe, it felt like it could have been those two characters kind of just spun off. It just wasn't like, that wasn't for me, but I should definitely give it another try.
Do you know Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was the first movie that I had just started working at Silver Pictures when they did that movie. Well, when they shot it and they did an actual premiere for it. It was the first thing I just started working there. Like, you're going to the premiere of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It was great. And that movie was buried.
Yes, it was.
Warner Brothers did not do anything with that movie. That movie is brilliant. It's a great movie.
Amazing. New Christmas classic.
Oh, it's so good. Jason Ashcroft, could not be more excited for House of the Dragon Season 3. It's my favorite show on TV. I also hope Rey gets her movie soon. I love Daisy. Wish Adam Driver got more love for Kylo. I think he would have, and I think people do dig it. I think they should have stuck with what they were going to do with him and kept him bad. The second they they should have kept him bad. Colin Trevorrow had a good take on what they wanted to do with him. He actually followed the previous directors who directed before him, as opposed to Ryan and JJ, who didn't give a shit about each other. So yeah. All right, next one. And again, thank you guys. 26 questions so far. It's great. Travis coming in hot here. If either of you could pick any comedian, past or present, to replace a character from the Star Wars saga, comedian, who would it be and what character? Mine would be Rodney Dangerfield replacing Anakin. I'm on the council and I still get no respect.
Oh my God. Wow.
George Carlin is Yoda.
And Eddie Murphy is Lando.
Perfect. There you go. There you go. George Carlin as Yoda would be, would be something else.
He would have a lot of life lessons.
He had a lot of life. He's still he's been dead for like 10 years. He's still giving us life lessons.
Yeah, correct.
I got to see George in concert. It was at where was it the Nokia? Forget where it was, but but actually it's funny. I got tickets to George to go see him, and then it was not too long before he passed, and I went up going with Brett Sheridan, and we went to see him. It was great.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a good memory. I had the ticket somewhere. I have it in my box somewhere. All right, let's see. Next one. And again, thank you to everybody who's been in here having the conversation. Geek Lodestars, have you seen Caddo Lake with Dylan O'Brien? I have not. I enjoyed him in that movie, and it was nice to see him in something. I think it's like a kind of like a time travel movie.
I haven't seen it either. I haven't honestly, I haven't even heard of it.
It's on. I think it's an HBO Max movie.
Interesting.
I feel like that's. I don't think I'm making that up. I'm not sure. So let's see next one. But I do want to see it. I heard mixed things about it. Some people really love it, and other people say that it was garbage. See, Nerds Engage. How does one become so classy? That's right. You just got to
years of practice.
That's exactly right. So funny, like all those different. It's like, a lot of times there's no when you come to the nicknames, it's like, okay, what works with C because of Clarke,
right?
and then you're like, I remember thinking, I'm going, yeah, she's very classy, classy Clarke Wolfe. I was like, that works. And then
of all the things people have called me on the internet, Kristian, that is my favorite.
Classy Clarke Wolfe. Yeah, there are certain nicknames from the Schmoedown that just stuck. Some of them didn't work. Some of them though worked really, really well, and sometimes we switched them. Did you have a favorite nickname of anybody that stands out right away?
Oh man, well, I do think Roka's The Outlaw is good.
Yeah, well, Ella is pretty damn good.
And then of course Rachel the Crusher.
The Crusher, yeah, and
that's good.
I'm trying to remember. I guess, yeah, and then the Crusher, the Smasher. I remember Kevin wanted to be called something else, and I was like, no, you're gonna be the Smasher. He's like, nah, don't do this. And I was like, no, listen. And at the time, he was just, I was like, and then Rachel's the champ. You're gonna do this, and we're gonna get that match of the Smasher versus the Crusher. It never happened though.
Never happened.
No. Simon Section, Kristian, regarding your MCU movie reaction, when it comes to Civil War, will your friend be aware that certain actors are no longer with us? One is recast, the other, like, so you're talking about Black Panther? Is that what you mean?
I think she means, or excuse me, I think they mean that like certain like, does your person know maybe like Terrence Howard was recast, or
maybe one? Well, it says certain actors are no longer with us. I mean, that I would assume from Civil War you mean, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, she definitely knows, because when he was, we've already reacted to that when it comes out Friday. So she was very aware of that. As far as the Terrence Howard stuff goes, and I mean, yeah, it's hilarious because when we were, and that's already out on, we've released those, but when she loves Terrence Howard, and then when he was replaced, she was pissed off. And then I said, Don Cheadle's going to grow on you. And I can't remember which movie it was, but she's like, you're right. Don Cheadle's
he rules. Yeah.
He rules. So yeah, I think that's what you mean, Simon. But yeah, she's aware as far as the Chadwick goes. Top Dog RLG. Hey, Clarke, what are some widely loved horror movies that just didn't click with you, and why?
So I always kind of freeze when I get asked these questions.
Yeah.
Like it's always hard to pull your favorites or your least favorites.
Yeah.
But one that does immediately spring to mind that I will say, and again, I'm not saying that I think the movie is bad, actually. Like, I'm just saying it didn't work for me, and I've tried it multiple times. I've tried to get into it. Is It Follows.
Oh, okay.
It Follows. I don't get it. I have never found it scary. I don't understand the hype. I have gone back and watched it multiple times to try to be like, okay, and it just, doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Armada. Kristian, do a reaction to Lighthouse with Sam. I'm actually going to be doing a reaction, first time watching for her, but not me, with Tina. Tina's going to come in. We're going to do Nosferatu. And I might try to do, because I don't think she's ever seen The Witch, and because she's like, so I have my friend Tina, I have Sam, and then I have Sadie, who's going to be doing stuff, who's done some stuff with us. But like, Tina loves horror, so we watched Long Legs together, and I had never seen Smile before, so we watched those two together. And then she actually wrote me today, and she's like, "Have you seen Nosferatu yet?" I was like, "Don't watch it yet. We'll do a reaction to it." So, and then maybe we'll do Lighthouse also. But Sam's going to be tied up in MCU for quite a while. Paul Marquez. I am just Ken. I just do the Force. That would be amazing. I'm so curious to see what he's going to. You would assume he's going to be a smuggler or something, right?
Yeah.
He has to be.
I was when I read the headline before I even clicked on it, I thought to myself, why wasn't he the new Han Solo?
Right. Yeah. I think he
he
might have been up for it.
he was famous at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
That seems obvious. So
Yeah, and the other person that was up for it at that point that I think probably should have gotten, and I like Aiden, or Alden, I should say.
Alden, I do too.
I like him too. I just don't think it fit for that role. I think that what's his Taron Egerton.
Yeah,
yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah. So, okay, let's see. Let's go to this next one. This is from GoPal. What's up, GoPal? A lot of work to do today, but here's some support. Well, thank you very much, GoPal. And who follows it up and says, I'll catch up on the replay. Well, you are here every day, my friend, and I really appreciate how much you've been supporting the channel these last couple of months. So, Lords and Hammers. Hey, Clarke, with the channel relaunching, will you be bringing back Sending the Wolf? It was essential during its run.
Sending the Wolf is the name of my live stream now. So
Yeah.
we're basically just it's back, it's just in a different format. However, what I will say is I am trying to find a way to make one of the episodes each week into an audio podcast. Like I'm tweaking the format. I'm working with how to put it back into your podcast feed. I'm thinking about like I listen to this podcast called Du Moi. It's a gossip podcast, but I really like the way that she does it. So thank you for listening to the original run, the first 60 episodes. And yes, Sending the Wolf is the name of my streaming show right now.
Perfect. Again, if you guys want to subscribe, you should subscribe. It's in the description. The link is one of the first things you see in the description. Richard Allen, elevator pitch. Krull remake as a streaming series similar to Game of Thrones and an alien invasion. I love this idea.
Yeah, same.
Love it. It's like make it a TV. There's certain things you can just turn into a full-on TV series, streaming, and put it like HBO Max.
Bring back the mini series. It was
Yes.
in fashion for a while and then it disappeared. And
Yeah.
I am very upset about it. It is like some things don't need to be 4 or 5 seasons long, but some things also need to be longer than 90 minutes.
I know. And remember V?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was a good one too. Jim 1, Pixar's in a no-win situation by cutting recent LGBT content. It's sadly not tolerated in much of the world, but Disney needs these places to make money. What was that? Which? I see what you're saying. You're saying that you need there's certain things that I have to do in order to cater to people. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, is that how you read that, Clarke?
That is how I read that.
Okay. Simon section. George Carlin as Yoda. Let's see. How would you even quote him? Because he did this. Openly white is Colin Powell. Black is what he happens to be. That's for the George Carlin bit.
Yeah.
Dancing white people. Stop. Yeah. Those his bits were just something else. I love George Carlin. He was so clever. Did you ever see the documentary that Judd Apatow did on him?
No, I haven't.
Oh
actually.
man, that's on HBO too. It's really good.
There's some great comedy docs for sure.
That's a good one. GCOLBYP. Levy's filmography is a mixed bag. I liked Real Steel, Night at the Museum, all 3 Ryan Reynolds collabs, and Big Fat Liar of Paul Giamatti. But I also remember the Pink Panther with Steve Martin. Well, everybody has a miss. I mean, look at James Mangold, right? I didn't like the last Indiana Jones wasn't the best. I didn't like Night and Day at all. Love Logan, love Copland, loved To Complete Unknown, loved Ford versus Ferrari. Everybody can hit. You can't hit all the time, right, Clarke?
Sometimes you got to take a job too.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
sometimes there are elements beyond your control. Sometimes you're working within a studio that mandates certain things. I mean, not everyone's going to bat 100%.
No, and it's like, look, I think and I also understand why they're going with Shawn Levy right now, Lucasfilm, because that's what they do. They go with the hot director, and he's coming off of $1 billion movie, 1.3, whatever Deadpool Wolverine did. So they want to sign him up, and they're going to get him before you. So the last time, what they did with Colin Trevorrow, he made Jurassic World, made $1 billion, and then he did a second movie. He did another movie in between, and it bombed. And then they panicked and they got rid of him. So they're Shawn Levy. Don't make anything else. Just make our movie.
Also, I think Colin was so early in his career at that time.
Yeah.
Shawn is not.
Right,
Shawn
right.
Shawn has proven that he can make movies that appeal and TV shows that appeal to wide audiences. He can direct big budgets. He can, it's like I think it's just apples and oranges, honestly.
Geek Lodestars. I literally call it It Follows Ghost Age. I watched the movie and I hated it.
It's not for everyone. It's polarizing for sure.
I didn't mind it. I remember seeing it when it came out. People were raving about it, and I'm just, it's not my type of thing anyway. And I was like, it's interesting. It was creative.
No, it's not. Again, not a bad movie. I'm not saying I think it's a bad movie. I just don't think it is scary at all.
Yeah. The Cali Kid. I would love to know, what are some overlooked movies of 2024 in your opinion? For me, Lisa Frankenstein. I didn't see it. Maxine, Strange Darlings, Furiosa is the one I would have chose. I don't think Anora is overlooked. I mean, it's getting a lot of buzz. Yeah. I liked Anora.
I'll give a little plug because I'm not on their payroll. I promise. But The First Omen, I just loved.
You did like that one.
I loved The First Omen, and Strange Darling also. I think I mentioned this last time I was here, but I got to see the world premiere of that at Fantastic Fest, and we all kind of walked out of that going, whoa, that was awesome.
Well, Strange Darling is one that everyone talks about, and I didn't see that one, but maybe that is overlooked because I think that the people who have seen it love it. But Anora, I don't think Anora is overlooked.
Maybe they mean box office.
Maybe. Could be. Gish Golly. I don't think that Clarke realizes that normal people slowly walking after the girl and It Follows are actually monsters. Different movie, if you know that.
Gishgali is, I know he's giving me a hard time. I know him. Yeah. And I see you. And yes, I do. I get it. I get that they're monsters.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie since it came out. Carver Tate. If you'd like to see a TV version of The Nice Guys, check out the show The Good Guys with Colin Hanks. It was great. Lovely to see you, Clarke.
Hi, Carver. Lovely to see you too. Colin Hanks is underappreciated.
Colin Hanks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish he was in more.
Yeah, it's funny. He always pops up, and it doesn't matter. You know what the thing is? He probably does, and you just don't know the stuff that he does because he pops up. Oh, look, it's Colin Hanks, and then you kind of forget that he was in it. But he's really he's a good actor.
I like him a lot.
Mike Joyce, thoughts on John Bernthal joining the Odyssey? You can get John Bernthal in anything. Sign him up. He's great.
I love John Bernthal.
Me too.
So much. I just think he's so great.
Yeah, he's great.
He's wonderful.
He is, even though people love him, he's a very underrated actor.
Yes.
Because he is so versatile. He can play a Southern dude that you buy, and then he can play someone straight out of Brooklyn tomorrow, and you buy it. Like, he's great.
I also think that the Odyssey, like putting him in the echelon, putting him in the Nolan crew, I think is going to, we know who he is. If you watch The Bear, if you watch Punisher, if you watch The Walking Dead, like he's in so much. But I hope that the Odyssey kind of pushes him
even more
into that A-list. If he wants it, by the way.
Right. He might not. He could easily be the lead. He's always like the second guy, right? But he could easily be the lead. I know that in Punisher he's the guy, but he could easily be. He's so charismatic. Do you ever watch his podcast?
Yeah, actually, yes. I respect his opinion and what he does and how he talks about things very much.
Yeah, I like John Bernthal a lot. Paige Chaudhry. Clarke, you are so awesome. You're a Southern horror-loving gal. How was it meeting Jamie Lee Curtis and wearing a Deborah Hill shirt? My mind would have been racing. Much love.
So I was not wearing the Deborah Hill shirt while I was talking to Jamie, but I did ask Jamie about Deborah Hill, who was, of course, a producer who died very young, but she co-wrote Halloween with John Carpenter. She produced Halloween and went on to produce The Fisher King, Clue, like so many things. She was a really prolific female trailblazer, and she unfortunately died of cancer about 20 years ago. So, and she did not have children. She was not married at the time. So it's like, not a ton of people could carry on that legacy except for the people that, she worked with. I'm in a documentary about her called Trailblazer that hopefully will be coming out this year. But what happened, it was a really wonderful moment, actually. That was the San Diego Comic-Con press line, Halloween 2018. Wow. So it hadn't come out yet. And I asked her, they were like, one question, hurry up. And so I was like, so I said, everybody's coming back for this. What do you think Deborah would have thought of all of this?
Yeah.
And she cried. She started to cry. Jamie cried.
That.
It was very beautiful. And I think that it was the first time anyone had asked her about Deborah in a long time. Now there's like this push to really remember Deborah, especially on social media, and but yeah, it was wonderful. It was a beautiful moment. I'm so happy the camera was on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm actually gonna watch that after this is over.
It was really sweet.
Yeah, I love that moment. Simon section. They recast William Hurt with Harrison Ford, T'Challa, Alex Cross, forget Hawkman. Yeah, I know the William Hurt thing. Not yet. I haven't brought that up to her yet because we're not there yet, right? Like with T'Challa, she knew that Chadwick passed, so there's nothing that we're gonna. Once we get to Black Panther 2, we'll bring that up. But she knows what she does know is her favorite thing of the MCU is trying to find Stan Lee.
Oh,
and so
fun.
I did tell her at one point. I was just like, well, Stan's not with us anymore. She's like, no. Way. She didn't know. She didn't know Stan died. So I wanted to kind of brace her. Then, and so now every movie she's like, is he in this one? He died already? I was like, no, not yet. I was like, I'll let you know when it's the last one, because his last one I think is Captain Marvel. I think that's his last movie.
Oh,
I think because I remember like they put because it was like in the 90s, and I think he's reading the Mallrats script on the bus. From what I remember. All right. Anyway, so that was Simon. Thank you, Simon. The Cali Kid, who says, I love sending the Wolf Pod. Can you repost episodes?
I thought about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't decided yet. So the original run of the podcast is not on online anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. I took it down for a minute. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe like I should do like a re-release. That could be fun.
You could. Yeah. Is it just private on the channel?
No, it's just it's not available on the feed, on any feed or on the website anymore.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, maybe she's going to be working hard on that channel, so that's why you got to go over there and subscribe so you see what kind of updates she's going to do. Top Dog RLG. My sides were hurting while listening to Roxy's stinking cute DM story this morning. I'll bet Clarke has some hilarious, awkward dating stories also. Yeah, Roxy talked about how yesterday on the show, she said she did something. She went outside her comfort zone that she never done before, and there was some guy that she thought was cute, so she went in.
Yeah.
And the guy said, contact me, sign me a DM. And she's like, I never do this. She never does it. And so she did. And she read the note and I'm only comfortable talking about this because you talked about it yesterday.
Of course. Yeah.
And then yesterday she said, when she did the DM, she's like, listen, I saw you and it's this. And she's like, and you're so stinking cute that it is. And I was like, and we're like, everything was good except stinking cute. And we talked about it. And she was laughing. It was hilarious. But do you have any that you want to talk about? Any hilarious, awkward dating stories?
I think there were two fails, massive fails on my part.
On your end?
So I'm totally fine talking about this. Yeah. I'm not on any dating apps. That is intentional. I'm done. I'm done with dating apps. I don't think they're good for anybody and they're not for me right now. Yeah. So as a result, I'm trying to meet people in person. I'm trying to have people set me up.
The way we used to do it.
Yeah, in the before times. Yeah. So anyway, there was one instance where I was at a party and there was a director who I know who he is and he's very handsome. And so we were chit-chatting and due to circumstances, me and my wing lady were like trying to get in there to say goodbye so that he could maybe ask me for my phone number or like whatever. And this man out of nowhere walks right in front of me. Like I truly was going in to say, great to meet. And then this guy goes, hey, I saw you. We parked on the same level of the parking garage because I was wearing like a floral print suit.
Oh, he's talking to you.
He was talking to me.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, yeah, wow, I saw you going up the escalator. I was like, okay. And then like, I was like, get out of my way. And So it didn't happen. I didn't get to. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to slide into his DMs. I'm going to do it. So I like type something. Hey, so-and-so, loved our conversation. We should like keep the debate going over a cup of coffee or something. And he replied, hi, Clarke.
That was all you got.
And I was just like, say anything, just don't say anything. Like he totally, like I totally shot my shot and he totally just did not pick up what I was putting down, and I was like, oh my God. And then the other story I'll tell you real fast is so I don't date actors.
Yes.
Except there is an actor who is older, right? And I've always had a little crush on him, and I've met him a couple of times, and we have a mutual friend. And so I will always joke with our mutual friend, like, oh, is so-and-so single? And our mutual friend will be like, Clarke, you do not want to date that person. Like,
Right.
he's too old for you. And I'm like, okay.
Tom Selleck.
I'm not a mustache girl.
Oh, okay.
So this friend calls me one day, and he's like, okay, if you're serious, I was at an event last night. I ran into some mutual friends, and I have learned that this person is single now. So if you want, I will set you guys up. And I was like, yeah, do it. Now, this person and George Clooney are the only men in this age range that I like. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
It's a Carrot Top.
Yeah. And so basically, yeah, you nailed it. I've been trying to move to Vegas for a long time. And so anyway, my friend, tell him I'm interested in going on a date with him. And then 20 minutes later, I get a text saying, oh, Clarke, my information was wrong.
Oh no.
And he is not single, but he's so flattered that you're interested. And I was just like,
oh, that's not your fault. That's your friend's fault.
But it was just such a cringe. I was like, oh.
Did you just crawl into a ball?
Truly.
That's tough.
I'm hitting on a 60-something-year-old man, and he's like, sorry, I'm single. I was just like, sorry, I'm not single. And I just was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but that's not.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I understand. I understand you being embarrassed on that, but that's not your fault. That's your friend's fault for giving faulty information. You got bad intel.
And then later on, I brought it up with his mutual friend, and he was like, oh, Clarke, to be clear, he was so flattered. And just cool. Like, I cannot believe that she would be interested in going out with me. And I was just like,
all right, I'm going to have to find out off air who this was.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Dancing Dog 60. Thoughts on upcoming film's Companion with Jack Quaid and drop the Blumhouse film. We love Clarke. Bring her back often. Well, Clarke and I have been talking to her. She definitely wants to be involved, especially if she's doing, more stuff on her YouTube channel. Like more people to know that she's doing it. So she's just welcome anytime. So I don't know. I just know that he's doing that movie. I don't know much about it, but I like Jack Quaid.
I'm curious about Companion. I'm really glad that they put out there in the first real trailer that Sophie is AI. Like so we know that it's not like, it going in, it's not like a big surprise. It does looks a little wild. I could be all over the place, but I'm curious. And then the drop, that's Chris Landon. Love Chris. He is such a good director. And I actually know the two screenwriters as well. They are really savvy, smart, functional screenwriters. But Chris Landon is, talk about underappreciated, truly like underappreciated directors. So I'm actually very excited for the drop. I'm very excited for it.
All right. Dancing Dog 60, Bernthal or Grillo? Who's the better actor? In your opinion? It's tough. I love Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo I've had conversations with, and I think I think Frank Grillo's a great actor. I'd probably give the edge to Bernthal.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd give the edge to Bernthal. I think that what Frank's great, and Frank can do, like, as I said, I don't know if I could see Frank Grillo as the it's not true. I mean, look what he did in Tulsa King. He did it very good. He didn't want to play that kind of traditional kind of mobster. He went with the more Western type of guy. He's great. I love Frank Grillo. Bernthal's got a little bit. I don't know if he's in more training. I'm not sure, but a slight edge. That's a tough one for me because I love Frank Grillo. I think he's the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that we have a couple left. G Colby VYP. Looking forward to Sam Raimi got cooking. Look at what he's got cooking. I even liked Multiverse of Madness personally. Rachel McAdams is a top 5 celebrity crush for me, so I'll watch anything she's in. Yeah, she's got, there's something about her too. She's really classy is another word for her, I think, too.
She's really good. She's just a really good actress. Like she really is. And anytime she's in something, I'm like, okay, this is, I'm curious.
Fascia Bruta. Timothy Chalamet should win Best Actor Oscar. I'm with you. I think he should. I absolutely loved him in that movie. Simon, I think Stan Lee's last live appearance was in Endgame, Make Love Not War, when Tony Stark was born. Is that true? Maybe you're right.
This is trivia I do not know.
But I don't know if I feel like the last one they shot was Captain Marvel. I feel like that might be somebody look that up and let me know. Okay. So I guess is that true? That's probably true. Look at this. Haskell said Finstock just tweeted. Of course, while we're on the air. Check out your Gucci in the new flick Zombie Strain. I play a porn star. Does that surprise you at all? So that should be enough of the price of admission. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Let me know what you think. Out on digital, January 24th. That surprises no one on this panel.
Good for him. Man, I want a job. Can I have a job? I need a job.
Have you? Well, I mean, look, like I said, I'm telling you, I do believe that if you, with the dedication that you have and the work ethic that you have, I think your channel could be huge. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. It's fun. I mean, I hope that there's some insight into the way that all of this works, because I think we've talked about this, but I really thought about some of the, our job as movie talk people for all those years. And now that I'm making movies more, I have a better understanding. So, I think that that's important in the way we talk about movies. I think and that's something I can bring to the table that maybe other people don't. So,
and I love it. So please go and check it out and check the link in the description. Dancing Dog 60. Roger Corman discovered a ton of later famous directors, including Demi. Is Jonathan Demi or Ted?
I think Jonathan.
Jonathan Cameron. Who would you say is today's Roger Corman director guru? I'll give that one to you, Clarke.
This is a tough one, I think, because I actually would say for a minute, I don't think this is maybe true anymore, just because the way they've changed the way they do business. Yeah. But Jason Blum would finance movies for young directors, like, especially directors in director jail.
Right.
And so he would say, okay, here's $1 million, go make your thing. And you have complete creative control, but also you only have $1 million. And, for instance, there's a story about Jordan Peele, pitched Get Out all over town, and everyone said no.
Right.
And Jason Blum was the one who was like, okay, yeah, we'll make this with you.
Yeah.
So, Blum.
I think you're right. I mean, I always they have such a great strategy. I mean, even you look at these movies that they make for $8, and then they make, I always talk about it. I talk about the Night Swim movie, like that. It's just a smart strategy that he's got in general, and then giving people a shot to kind of stand out. The Cali Kid, Sending the Wolf is so good. I'd sub just for Stow. I don't know that one. What does that mean? Stow?
I don't know. But sure. Thank you, Cali Kid. I appreciate that very much.
I would sub just for Sending the Wolf.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mirror Domains. Could we ever get a horror told in the Star Wars world? They did it. They did it in comic books. It was like the zombie stormtroopers, which was really terrifying to be actual. But it's but no, they'll never do that. They won't. They wouldn't do that. I mean, they did it in Marvel with the Marvel zombies, but they're not going to go full on horror. Do you think they would ever do that?
I think that we could definitely do interesting, scary things with the scary people within, but I don't think. I think they have bigger things to worry about right now than experimenting in the horror genre. But it would be cool if they dipped their toe in it. That I would say would be fun.
Oh, good. Captain Penis is here. Can you post footage of your Fifth Wheel appearance? I don't think it exists. I don't think it exists. Thank God it's not. I was looking at it. I've searched for it before on YouTube, and it's nowhere to be found. Thank God. Yeah. The Fifth Wheel. That was when I first got to LA.
Every now and again, my pyramid. My pyramid. I was on the pyramid game show, and I played. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but he was in the Schmodown.
Oh.
We faced off. We never faced off at the Schmodown, but apparently we were both the guests playing
Wow.
against each other on a trivia show. It
What
was so
was that
wild.
before or after Shmona?
Way before.
Before.
Way
So
before.
who was it? Who was it?
I'm trying to remember. Oh God, Paul.
Paul Oyama?
No, not Paul.
Paul who?
Wait, I thought his name was Paul. Wait, no, not Paul Oyama. I'll look it up. I'll tell you
Okay.
later.
All right, tell me who it is. All right, we did it. Clarke, hey, almost 50 as we get. That's a pretty damn good performance.
The people are clearly they don't have enough questions for me.
Not yet.
So not yet.
Not yet.
Now they will though.
They will. For a guest appearance? You kidding me? That's Hall of Fame stuff. All right, one more time. Tell them where they can go, what you got going on this week, please.
So you can find me on Instagram at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolf with an E. Paul Preston.
Oh, Paul Preston, of course.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
good. I love Paul Preston.
Who I played Pyramid against. Sorry, I had to.
Of course, yeah. Because Paul.
Yeah. So Instagram at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolf with an E, youtube.com/official Clarke Wolfe, and patreon.com/Clarke Wolfe. Movie watch alongs on the Patreon, Out of the Theater reacts on the Patreon, a Discord server, which is really fun. We've got a really nice little community over there. So check it out. And if I may,
yes.
Malum, the movie that I am in, the reimagining of The Last Shift, directed by Anthony de Blasi, is available to stream on Shudder and Shudder and AMC Plus right now. It came on the site or the platform on January 1st.
Oh, that's great. We do have one more for you before you leave.
Sure.
Miss Wolfe, with the passing of David Lynch, were you ever a fan or noticed his work? Would you say you're more of a David Lynch fan than Terrence Malick?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it. You can go to my YouTube channel, and you'll see the Remembering David Lynch. But David Lynch was such a unique person, a unique figure within the entertainment world. And there were a lot of his movies that I love. I love Wild at Heart. That's probably my favorite. But also I love Wizard of Oz. So it's basically a loose reimagining of the Wizard of Oz with Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage. So what else do you want? And then I've never been a huge Terrence Malick fan, so I would, I guess if I had to choose, I would choose David Lynch.
Well, there you go. Thank you guys for joining us here today. Appreciate it. Clarke will be back soon for sure. And for you guys, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. If you're enjoying the MCU reactions from myself and Sam, we got Civil War coming up this Friday. And we have some more things that are just in the pike. So many different reactions, reviews, out of the theater reactions, tons of stuff. So subscribe if you haven't done that already. Leave your comments, do all that. If you're watching on Spotify, you can leave comments on Spotify now. So for Clarke Wolfe and myself, see you guys later. Bye-bye.